How to Get Everything You Want in Life, written by Theo E. David and presented by the Audiobook Shelf. Introduction. How to Get Everything You Want in Life. That's a large aim and a lofty title. Is it truly something you can achieve? Is it possible for someone to attain all their desires in life? And what does that mean? When you compare people, you'll find they have wildly divergent objectives and aspirations. Some work to make the world a better place, while others just want to settle down, have a loving family, and be happy. Some individuals are passionate about aviation. Is it possible for everyone to achieve their goals? In this audiobook, I will argue that it is possible, and after listening, I believe you'll see that far more is achievable than you previously thought. Part of it is about learning more about what you really want, and part of it is about taking action. You'll discover that the same guidelines consistently hold true for a vast array of objectives. To succeed and accomplish your goals, there is a formula you can use in any area of your life, and I'm going to share it with you now. By the end, you should be much closer to realizing your dreams and understanding any areas where you may have previously failed. This book will teach you how to decide what you truly want out of life and then figure out the simplest approach to get it. It will show you how to start grabbing hold of the things you want out of life and quit waiting for life to happen, how to draft a business plan that you can carry out whenever you want to do amazing things, how a few easy adjustments can enhance your appearance, home life, and health, and how to value the things that bring you the most joy and learn to be content with what you already have. Are you prepared to begin leading the life of your dreams? Let's see how we achieve it. Chapter 1. Knowing what you want. Understanding what you want is the first step toward achieving your goals. This is something that is far too frequently disregarded. How often do you see sayings like "never give up on your dreams" or "go after that one thing that makes you truly happy" on motivational posters? That's all well and good if your desire has always been to start your own restaurant or become a successful band member. However, what happens if you're unsure about your life goals? What happens if you are drawn in different directions by a multitude of interests? Let's say you're like my friend, a pilot who has always wanted to travel long distances but is unable to see his family back home. It's not very useful to advise someone to seize the day and live their dreams in these situations. The next step is to set priorities and search for the things in life that will bring you the greatest joy and fulfill the greatest number of requirements. Look for the common themes. This usually boils down to finding the similarities between your goals and ambitions. What do the 20 things you want have in common? If you want to be both a rock star and an actress, what appeals to you about both roles? The most likely response is that both make you public, both involve some sort of performance, and both offer a respectable level of wealth. Thus, whatever you choose to do, as long as you can check all those boxes, you should be pleased. The 5 whys. Applying the 5 whys method is another approach to uncover your true desires and the reasons behind them. Here, you probe your motivations further by asking yourself why 5 times in succession. For example, if you aspire to become a well-known novelist, why? Because you want to produce something worthy of your pride. Why? Because you wish to make a lasting impression. Why? Because you value and respect others who are inventive and have followed their passion. Why? Because they can support themselves by creating entertainment with nothing more than their creativity and writing abilities. Why does that appeal? Because you love to be creative and acknowledged for that creativity. Now we're getting somewhere. Look to your role models. Examining your role models and noting the qualities you find admirable about them is another method to discover what it is that you truly want. Which aspects of their lives do you wish you could emulate? Look back. Considering what you wanted to be when you were younger is another piece of advice. In many situations, this won't matter because things might change drastically in a few decades. But in other situations, you might discover that whatever it was you always wanted still appeals to you because the cynicism of adulthood had not yet set in. Considering the reality of what you want. Simply considering what your goals will genuinely mean in practical terms is another thing that can be quite helpful. We have been concentrating on professional paths at the moment and will continue to do so. The important thing to remember in this situation is that you might not be pleased following the job path you believe will provide you with the greatest sense of fulfillment and achievement. What do I mean by this? Imagine yourself as a high-ranking CEO of a huge company. Many people find this idea quite attractive until they have to live that kind of life. The truth is that working late shifts, fielding frantic client calls during your personal time, and handling high-stress situations are all part of the job description for executives at high-achieving companies. Only a particular kind of individual will find this lifestyle appealing. Lifestyle design. This is where lifestyle design enters the picture. Future chapters will cover this topic in more detail, but for now, let's just say that lifestyle design is selecting a career that complements your desired lifestyle rather than one that tries to fit you around it. Desire to work fewer hours? Then avoid becoming a CEO. Once more, consider what makes becoming a CEO appealing and then emulate it without altering your way of life. There are many methods to accomplish this. For example, you may find that the idea of feeling important and dressing in a suit appeals to you, but you can achieve these goals in other ways that don't call for nearly the same level of dedication. Therefore, instead of only considering what you believe will make you happy, consider what it would be like to live your goals daily and whether it makes you happy as well. Reflect on happiness. Another alternative is to consider the moments in recent memory when you were the happiest. If you're having trouble identifying the kinds of lives and things that make you happy, finding the circumstances and way of life that bring you happiness may be as simple as reflecting on the last time you experienced true happiness. Writing your own eulogy. Your goals and the things you wish to be known for should also be taken into account. You might also try writing your own eulogy as a mental exercise to help you work this out. It sounds a little gloomy, but it may be a helpful method to reaffirm your priorities and serve as a reminder of what truly matters. Writing your own eulogy with the intention of having it written by someone else is the idea here, but you're writing it in another reality where everything in your life turned out precisely as you had imagined. What do you want to be remembered for? What do you want to say about yourself in the speech? In what way do you wish to be recalled? Certain individuals may desire their eulogy to emphasize how wonderful they were as a family man or woman. Others will wish to be recognized for their outstanding contributions. What is the content of your speech? What is most important to you? Prioritize. As previously noted, we've been concentrating a lot on careers up to this point, but achieving your goals in life actually comes down to a much larger picture. You also need to consider things like your family, travel, confidence, and overall health and fitness. Many factors contribute to a happy and healthy person. This is traditionally comparable to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, a psychological theory that examines all the requirements people have in order to be happy. Included in this are the following: physiological needs, safety, love, belonging, esteem, self-actualization.
Therefore, the most basic needs are those for food, sex, safety, and shelter. You have love, belonging, and self-assurance in the midst. The pinnacle is self-actualization, which is determined by your achievements and your capacity to believe that you are making a meaningful contribution or producing something. Although this is an outdated and somewhat arbitrary approach, in general, it is true that to be truly happy, you must fulfill certain basic requirements as well as some broader objectives.
But none of these things can be altered at once. You won't suddenly become a globally recognized athlete and simultaneously improve your wardrobe and self-worth. It will also be more difficult to concentrate on a profession while also building a fulfilling romantic relationship than it will be to handle each of those things independently. To put it another way, the idea is that you should prioritize your goals in life and start by concentrating on only one area of your lifestyle. This entails, of course, focusing on what matters most. However, it also entails considering what would enable you to achieve the short win. Put otherwise, how do you begin changing things quickly? This is crucial. As we will discover in a moment, it is crucial to make a change that has a genuine impact. Chapter 2. Stop waiting, take action now. Of all the steps, making a list of the things you wish to alter and clarifying your goals in life is simply a very small first step toward achieving your goals. It's time for you to start genuinely creating opportunities for yourself, which entails making steady progress toward your new objectives. Most people make mistakes at this point, not because they approach reaching their objectives incorrectly, though this may occur, but rather because they approach it completely differently. For many, the main issue is that they always feel like they're waiting for something to happen. Instead of aiming for something greater and better, they are content to simply continue living their good enough lives as they are at the moment. This sometimes boils down to fear. This might sometimes be attributed to their belief that they are without options. Sometimes it comes down to the conviction that waiting is, in fact, the most effective way to achieve one's goals. Retirement is the perfect illustration of this. How many people, in your opinion, lead cautious lifestyles to save money for retirement? How many people decide it's better to wait for that payoff and postpone taking vacations and exploring the world? But this doesn't make any sense when you think about it. It makes sense to create plans for the future, but why wait to pursue your happiness until you reach a time in your life when you are unable to fully enjoy it physically? Why put off starting your global travels until you are completely exhausted and suffering from back and knee pain? It just doesn't make sense when you can start acting right now and get the things you desire right away. Alternatively, you might begin your global exploration right away by taking time off work or just focusing your travel budget on the experience rather than on other purchases or savings. Live the life you want to live and do the things you want to do now instead of waiting for the ideal time. A further illustration of this is wealth. Many people dream about the life they would like to lead when they are affluent. How often have you seen yourself purchasing your ideal home when you're well off? Most of us have done it at some point. Now, however, consider what that ideal house truly comprises. It's probably a pretty typical property, with the extra benefit of appearing more opulent, roomy, and clean. Does it have to be enormous? Is having a large home truly a sign of happiness? Most likely not. Hence, consider ways to transform your existing house into your ideal home rather than waiting to own your ideal one until you're wealthy. Now is the time to start pursuing your goals. Let's take a moment to examine how, for a reasonable price, you may transform any property into your ideal home. Hopefully, this will then serve as a good example of how, once you've identified what you want out of life, you may achieve what you desire much more simply. In this instance, you claim to want wealth, but your true desire is a stunning house. You're putting it off because you believe you need to be retired or affluent. But if you only concentrate on the minor details that will bring that property closer to your ideal, you may have it right now. Here are some steps you can take. 1. Get rid of a lot of your belongings. This may come as a surprise, but the more stuff you get rid of, the more of the things you'll have that look wonderful and lovely. You're basically decreasing the average quality and value of the stuff you own. If your home is overly cluttered, the 10% of your ornaments that remain will be the most exquisitely designed items you own. So discard the other 90%. They will also appear less cluttered, which will highlight them more. It will also be a lot simpler to clean them. 2. Be more minimalist. Generally speaking, a more minimalist design for your home will make it appear larger and easier to clean. It also has a far more cost-effective contemporary style. Therefore, instead of squandering a lot of cash on bulk purchases of unnecessary goods, save up for a select few exquisite items. 3. Set priorities. If your house is the place where you spend the most time and money, why not make it your top priority and invest a little extra money on it now? That could include, for example, giving up your television subscription and using the money to hire a cleaner, or it might entail foregoing this year's vacation in favor of double glazing. 4. Get familiar with decor. This is a huge one. Invest some effort in researching what creates great decor, rather than just arranging things wherever you think they look good. Once you know the tricks, you can turn even a rather ordinary-looking room into something spectacular. 5. Hunt for deals. You can add some incredible features to your house at a reasonable price if you know where to search and how to use your connections. This could entail having a polite conversation with your friend who also happens to be a builder mate's prices, or it might imply that you search for free furniture on FreeCycle. 6. Acquire several centerpieces. Your home might be completely transformed with a few high-tech appliances or stunning decor. Depending on your goals, that can entail installing a large flat-screen TV or an amazing water feature in your living room. This component is pricey, but the key is to invest your money sensibly so that you can achieve the greatest results with the fewest adjustments. Sometimes, though, it just comes down to doing something unique that people don't see very often. This adds character to your house and doesn't even need to be costly. That house you once believed to be off limits begins to feel a lot closer. Yes, it's a compromise, but you'll be a lot happier with your current residence while you strive to become a millionaire. Ask yourself what you can do to be happier right now within your limits and stop putting off your happiness. The same kind of strategy may be used for your lifestyle and your sense of style. A few small ingenious adjustments can really elevate your looks. We'll examine several strategies for actually advancing your career in the upcoming chapter, rather than waiting for things to happen to you. How to get both things. Finally, you'll discover that your desires aren't always compatible with one another. Do you recall the scenario we proposed at the start of the audiobook? The long-haul pilot who is reluctant to part from his family but still wants to fly. It's actually not quite that simple. He is in the UK and his true desire is to work for British Airways, which offers higher prestige than his current role at EasyJet. The next obvious step in his profession would be to move there and take long-haul flights, but doing so would require uprooting his family. His wife wants to reside in Manchester, where British Airways doesn't fly, and he'd spend a lot of time away from home. Staying put makes sense from a logical standpoint, especially as the pay is comparable. However, his heart is urging him to pursue British Airways because it will be exciting to go forward in life. What then does he do? Here, of course, there is no correct response. Whatever he decides to do, it will require him to make a decision and give up a piece of his dream lifestyle. How would you respond under these circumstances? The solution is frequently to make every effort to achieve both. How on earth can you do both in this situation? One possible solution would be to relocate to Boston for a few years and take long-haul flights, but eventually give up on long-haul travel and settle down with the family. Making the switch to a third airline like Virgin is an additional choice. He would still be able to remain in Manchester and continue to receive the status and travel beyond Europe. As you can see, when you're pulled in two different directions, compromises are nearly always necessary. When asked, either or the best response is both whenever feasible. Chapter 3. Becoming anything you choose. You really can be anything you want to be in terms of your profession. Knowing what you want to achieve in life today makes it simple to actually carry it out. No, really. Do you aspire to write? Fantastic. Now all you need to do is get writing. Do you want to work as an artist? Yes, please. Just get painting. Do you want to fly? Look for pilot course opportunities. Wish to become a pilot but lack the funds for the training or don't want to give up your present way of life? Consider taking a microlight flight. The idea is that you become what you want to be as soon as you begin doing it. You are a writer by definition the moment you start writing. Yes, you might not become renowned for it. It's possible that you lack professionalism. Perhaps you're not even that good, but you are a writer. Furthermore, you may honestly respond, "I'm a writer," to someone who asks what you do. I hope this helps you realize that your career does not have to define who you are. You are also not limited to a single career. Furthermore, there is no need for your finances to be exclusively dependent on your income. It all comes down to not waiting. It also involves figuring out what it is about the thing that brings you joy and excitement. How to make it as an actor or rock star in your 40s or 80s while providing for a family.
Let's pretend that you have always aspired to be a rock star. You work in logistics now that you're in your 40s. Whoa, looks like something went wrong. Midlife crises are made up of situations like this. Initially, keep in mind the proverb that states it's never too late to be what you always wanted to be. You realize that to be true in several cases. Getting older actually makes things easier to complete.
You're 80 years old and have always wanted to be an actor. Seniors have an abundance of opportunities to appear in TV shows as extras or small roles, and as they age, they will have more time to attend auditions. That's a dream of a lifetime you can finally fulfill. Being 70 years old, you've always longed to reside in Los Angeles. There has never been a better moment. Back to being the midlife crisis wannabe rock star. How do you proceed? It's easy. Start playing music in your garage. Build a home studio with whatever money you have. And if you feel like it, establish a band. Even if you work in logistics, the music might give you a sense of purpose and success. You are undoubtedly a rock musician, even though you aren't a rock star yet. That's a respectable beginning. How about setting up a YouTube page to showcase your songs? Next, consider putting some music on Bandcamp or SoundCloud. It's possible that you gain a little following. Perhaps even a little money will come in. And there was no risk or significant alteration to your way of life. Now it's a reality, your dream. You're a tiny rock star, and that's sufficient. That leaves me to wonder, why did it take you so long? Coming up with strategies. In the previous example, we examined how you could use YouTube to promote your rock music. In fact, the internet opens up a world of possibilities that did not exist a few years ago. Did you know that there is no upfront cost when self-publishing a book on Lulu? It's known as pod or print on demand, which implies that there is no risk or prior investment because copies are only produced when they are sold. However, there have always been several approaches to accomplish the same goal, even in the days before the internet. Consider Sylvester Stallone. This man has always aspired to be an actor, but because of his slur, no one would even give him a chance. So rather than give up, Sly adjusted his strategy. After writing the brilliant screenplay for Rocky, he presented it to the producers. They were reading this script, and it was blowing their minds so much so that they would sign virtually anything to get the rights to it. Sly's request was that the focus would be on him. The rest is recorded in history. The idea is that there are times when an unconventional or obvious approach to achieving your objectives is acceptable. If you merely take the time to develop a strategy, there are almost always alternative approaches you may take to accomplish the same goal. Which qualities do you possess? What resources do you have available right now? Who are the most valuable people you know? How can you specifically accomplish the objective you have in mind? Gradual improvement. Additionally, keep in mind that you get better at something the longer you work at it. This covers not just the evident abilities but also business acumen and the capacity for self-promotion. To put it another way, you could start doing terrible things when you play music in your garage. However, if you put in enough time and effort, you will eventually become almost a rock star. Similarly, if you continue to practice the music, you will ultimately reach a point where you understand the most effective ways to market and get noticed. If you persevere for a long enough time, success will most likely arrive. And yet another excuse to tread on it is this: the sooner you begin your efforts, the faster you'll reach a professional level. Chapter 4. The Step-Back Technique and Springboarding. In the earlier chapters, we examined how altering your strategy and focusing on the aspects that matter most to you might help you potentially accomplish amazing things. Among other things, we've seen how, with the appropriate approach, you may accomplish almost any professional objective. And thus, there is one tactic that practically anybody may use, no matter what their objectives. We refer to it as springboarding. Springboarding is the process of making progress in one area so that you can leverage that progress to make progress in another. Let's imagine that you have aspirations of becoming a rock star but are unsure of your capacity to do so through traditional channels. What further action could you take? Okay, so how about developing a very popular rock-related website? You'll have a sizable audience that you can reach directly after you have a sufficient number of readers on your website. All you have to do now is start showcasing your own music on the blog, and you'll have an excellent method of encouraging others to check out your music. Alternative approaches. Similarly, how would you go about accomplishing what Stallone accomplished today? Making a well-liked YouTube channel where you post acting videos of yourself is one possibility. When you employ high enough production quality and garner enough followers, eventually an opportunity will knock on your door. Of course, becoming wealthy is also a possibility. All you have to do to film a music video is to succeed and get rich in any other endeavor. You can then utilize the money and the connections you make from that accomplishment to finance your side project. Is it vain? Sure. Is it a wise purchase? Perhaps not. However, it brings you joy. It's what you desire. It is the path to self-actualization. Is there any other way you could spend your money? How to make a muse. If having more money often gives you the opportunity to start living a happier life, then your new plan may need to focus on rapidly growing your income in order to reach your goals. Although it may seem much simpler stated than done, there is one more strategy you can employ to slightly ease the process. Amuse, for example, as described by Tim Ferriss. Basically, he can start making passive income with this short and nasty little enterprise. Recall that your primary source of income does not have to indicate your level of wealth. A common inspiration is to make an online affiliate product sale. This entails promoting a book or anything comparable in exchange for a commission that can reach 75% in certain situations. We won't go into great detail about how this operates here, but a fast Google search will provide a wealth of helpful information. There are alternative ways to become wealthy rapidly that don't include being the CEO. For example, consider exploring the possibility of taking a part-time weekend job. It's not very enjoyable, but it might be worthwhile if the money is going toward a dream. As an alternative, you may let students stay at your house or rent out a room on Airbnb. You may make a respectable living doing this. Another way is to remember that you have additional sources of money outside your wage. Simply by saving more and cutting back on some of your existing expenses, you might potentially earn a significant amount of money. Do you have coffee before going to work? In certain instances, that can cost as much as $3 or $4. That works out to $15 per week or $60 per month. Just by giving up caffeine, you might save $60 a month. Taking a seat and determining priorities. Once more, it all comes down to taking a seat and determining what your life's priorities are. It's likely that you're doing a lot of things right now purely out of habit. It's time to put an end to it and begin pursuing the objectives that will genuinely bring you the most happiness. The step-back technique. Thinking about what you would want out of life if you had all the wealth and success in the world is part of the step-back strategy. What would you do if you could bend even the laws of physics? Here, nothing is off limits. Would you want to be a superhero? Perhaps. Perhaps you'd like to end hunger and save the world. Perhaps your dream is to succeed Bill Gates. After you've written this down, use the step-back technique. It entails asking yourself what the nearest thing is that you can do. You'll be shocked at how much you can do. The title of this audiobook. The title of this audiobook is How You Can Get Everything You Want. We made clear from the outset that this was a really ambitious goal. Is there really anything you can't do despite your desire to soar? Yes, but with some restrictions. You should now be able to comprehend why this is the case, because we have covered enough tactics and techniques at this stage in the audiobook. Examining your motivations for wanting to fly and the aspect of aviation that you find appealing should be your first step. Is it the velocity? Since you could then drive fast cars in that situation. Is it the sensation of flight itself on a physical level? Does it mean you can fly through the clouds? Because then, as our friend suggested before, you could train to fly a microlight or become an airline pilot. What if you truly want to fly, though? Fly truly without using any technology. Man, do you really think you're going to make this easy? You could apply the step-back approach in that situation. What is the closest thing you can do to emulating Iron Man's flight? There is never any gravity. There you have it then. You may also turn into Iron Man. We can almost all agree that Iron Man is the most realistic superhero, with flight still totally unfeasible but more grounded. Designing an Iron Man suit. Take another step back. How near could you get to designing an Iron Man suit for real life? That is a question that a few people have asked themselves. A man has created a real-life Iron Man suit for himself, which he powers with a rocket strapped to his back. The rocket and wings alone will let him fly or glide through the air until the fuel runs out if he is dropped from a plane, but it cannot take off from the floor. Additionally, another man created a comparable invention using the help of thrusters. He was able to use this one to fly like Iron Man using his hands and feet. How? It's simple. It functions exclusively on water. Additionally, this suit operates by spraying out more water rather than lasers or repulsors. For the true Iron Man aficionados out there, put another way, the apparatus uses a hose that has been submerged in a river or lake to collect water, which is then forcefully released from the hands and feet. It is known as the jet lev. Don't think I'm real? Check it out on YouTube. Additionally, if you'd like to use it, you can fly with a jet lev on certain experience days. You may not be Superman, but you may achieve a remarkable degree of similarity if you are prepared to alter your approach and concentrate on your true desires. This also holds for other facets of your life, like your well-being. The unfortunate truth is that you may never be an athlete if you have a chronic illness. But if you use the step-back method, you might find that you have what it takes to compete in the Paralympic Games. Or maybe it's that you can study a lot, get into the greatest shape you can, and inspire people who are in similar circumstances. Taking action by moving closer to any dream. Therefore, you might not always be able to develop or accomplish anything. However, you can take action by moving closer to any dream, and as soon as you begin doing so, you'll discover that this is what provides you with a feeling of fulfillment, actualization, and purpose. Chapter 5. Fear Setting and Mitigating Risk. There's a good likelihood that many of the individuals reading this will nod their heads in agreement and believe that everything sounds fantastic, then ignore it totally and never take any action. Regretfully, most of us are unwilling to make the necessary adjustments in order to achieve our desired lives. However, I don't want you to experience that. This audiobook should be distinctive. I want it to be the one that inspires you to start implementing those changes. In light of this, it might be worthwhile to experiment with fear setting. Once again, this idea is derived from the extremely wise Tim Ferriss and his audiobook The 4-Hour Workweek, which is well worth reading more of. What is fear setting? Fear setting is a strategy that involves giving your worries more substance to overcome them. It is the reverse of goal setting, since you will write down everything you are afraid of rather than your goals. Let's assume that you have the idea that you would like to work for yourself as a freelancer. On paper, it sounds fantastic, but you're frightened. This is the reason why. You have a family to support. What if you lose your job? You don't have any funding for your idea. You risk failing and being humiliated. This is not the right moment. You recently gave birth to a child. Your spouse may leave you. You could become homeless. You could be alone. Thus, those are a few worries in some dire situations. Your dream no longer seems so tempting. Before making any decisions, let's assess each point thoroughly. We'll assign a likelihood rating to each scenario on a scale of 1 to 10 and outline a practical approach for handling them. It's essential to be both honest and pragmatic in this evaluation. Example analysis. 1. Family responsibilities. Prioritize family responsibilities while exploring opportunities for gradual involvement in your idea. Likelihood 3/10. 2. Relationship strain. Open and honest communication with your spouse is key. Discuss concerns, set boundaries, and explore ways to balance personal and professional commitments. Likelihood 3/10. 3. Financial dependence. Strategize on how to manage your family's needs while pursuing your idea. Consider potential sources of support and seek advice from trusted individuals. Likelihood 6/10. 4. Lack of funding. Explore alternative funding options such as bootstrapping, seeking investors, or crowdfunding. Develop a detailed financial plan and be prepared to adapt as needed. Likelihood 10/10. 5. Fear of failure. Embrace failure as part of the learning process and focus on resilience. Develop contingency plans, seek mentorship, and celebrate small victories. Likelihood 1/10. 6. Worst-case scenario. Focus on proactive measures to mitigate risks, such as maintaining a safety net, networking, and seeking support from community resources. Likelihood 2/10. Evaluating realistic risks. Undoubtedly, it is irrefutable that you recently gave birth to a child. Whether or not this is a bad time for you is up for debate. In a similar vein, you either have money or you don't. However, it's unlikely that your failure will be particularly embarrassing. Similarly, it would take a lot of harshness for your spouse to leave you. Give them more credit than that. You won't find yourself on the streets for sure. In any case, you'll most likely get your job back in the worst situation. You could have to accept a less desirable job or turn to your parents or the government for help. You would live, albeit it wouldn't be ideal. Mitigating risks. Now let's examine how you handle any of these occurrences and plan to reduce the risk, making it even less likely to occur. You don't really need to tell everyone that you're trying. You could fail and feel embarrassed. Conversely, then why is it important what other people think? You tried at least. You may simply alter your approach to ensure that there is never a failure to report. Thus, you are never forced to give up. Providing for your family. What would happen if you lost your job? As previously indicated, you have many possibilities. Take a temporary job, work in a supermarket if needed, receive benefits, or ask your parents for assistance. Even profit from your business ventures. Your fund should be enough to last you for at least a few months. Existing position. More importantly, there's no reason to leave your existing position. All you need to do to start a business is to put it up on the side during the night and on the weekends. You'll eventually have a good sense of whether it will succeed or fail, and only then should you leave your position. There is no risk. Lack of finance. The majority of business plans are bootstrapped. Put differently, it is possible to design a model that requires no initial investment and, as it expands, reinvests the funds into other initiatives. For example, you can construct a website for free and use the money you make to buy merchandise for the e-commerce store of your dreams. Consider Kickstarter. Timing. There's never a good time. You just had a baby, so now isn't the best moment. You will never take any action if you wait for everything to fall into place. Which would your child prefer, affluence or happiness? Fear of separation. You run the risk of your spouse leaving you? If it does, though, they probably aren't the right person for you in any case. You won't be satisfied if you can't pursue your greatest happiness and stay in that relationship. Sitting them down and explaining to them how important this is to you, as well as outlining your intentions in detail, can undoubtedly be helpful. Poverty. You may find yourself penniless and alone. Once more, that's not going to occur. However, should it happen, you'll then gather the fragments and give it another go. In the interim, you can either work online to earn enough money for a hotel or rest on a friend's sofa. The takeaway is that, for the most part, things are usually not as awful as they seem, and there are almost always ways to get by in any case. Which is fairer? The things that are happening to you leading an engaging life, or deciding to spend the rest of your life working at a job you find boring and soul-destroying. The only way to be sure you won't be pleased is to not take a chance. Thus, take a chance. Using fear setting in various contexts. You can use fear setting in a variety of contexts. This holds true regardless of whether you're asking your employer for a raise or approaching a girl or guy at the bar. Asking someone out often carries the risk that they will say no. How, therefore, may that risk be reduced? Try this. Start by grinning at the individual across the room to gauge their response. You may expect that they will be open to your approach if they grin back. If, however, they turn away, you have been rejected in a way that was neither embarrassing nor had any consequences. You reduce the danger. Creating a panic response. Once you get proficient at it, you'll be able to instantly create a panic response in your mind whenever you have to make a decision or face a problem that makes you nervous. In actuality, this is a rudimentary kind of cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. We'll discuss this topic further in the future, but you should absolutely do further research on your own. Chapter 6. How to Write Goals. Breaking down your plan into manageable phases that can eventually become goals is the next step once you have your strategy in place and are determined to see it through to completion. Is your goal to follow our YouTube path and become that rock star? Fantastic! You now have a list of actions to do: obtain a guitar, establish a home recording studio, form a band, and post videos. The next stage is to really follow through on your objectives and adhere to this plan. This is also the point at which we begin to consider other facets of life, like relationships or fitness. You can skip the coming up with a strategy phase and move directly to the following the steps. Art, if those are more important to you than your career. Setting achievable goals. Setting easy-to-achieve goals is challenging at this point, and the reason that a lot of individuals fail. You may have put a goal like lose 3 stone by next year or add 1 inch to my biceps by 3 months if you want to get in terrific shape and have a bodybuilder physique, for example. These objectives are appalling not to offend. So, what precisely is the issue? It's because the goals are too far off and too nebulous. You have a long time to reach your goal of losing 3 stone in a year if you start today. This implies that you can simply postpone working out or indulge in a cheat day without compromising your ability to reach your objective. It is fantastic, but it doesn't really motivate you to put forth your best effort. Similarly, you may feel quite discouraged and even despondent at the end of the year if you have only lost 1 stone, which may lead you to give up. This is really unfortunate because you've done a terrific job so far and lost a significant amount of weight. Control over goals. The fact that you have no control over this goal is another issue. What happens if you put forth a lot of effort, eat healthily, and exercise regularly but still don't lose weight? This is quite likely to occur. So what form should this objective take? Give this one a go. I'll work out 3 times a week for at least 30 minutes. You now have a goal that is easy to achieve, instantaneous, and fully under your control. It is a must to work out for 30 minutes 3 times a week. This is a straightforward weekly fail-succeed situation. There is no, or I'll do it next week. What happens if you don't succeed? The next week, you simply get back on the train. Another objective could be I will eat no more than 2,000 calories a day. You may achieve this objective each and every day. Maintaining concentration and experiencing a strong sense of accomplishment is possible when things go well. However, if you persevere long enough, this micro goal will build up to support your desired outcome. If you concentrate on the workings and the cogs rotating, you will ultimately reach your destination. Establishing a chain. The same holds for those videos on YouTube. Your objective now could be put 2 videos on YouTube every week. Make every song video better than the last one. Establishing a chain. Jerry Seinfeld appears to adhere to goals like these by using a tactic called making a chain. In other words, he just marks a goal as completed on his calendar each time he achieves it. At some point, he begins to build a long chain of success, which represents a week well spent accomplishing his goals. The issue is that this feeling is so motivating. It's funny how you often find that you have to work really hard to maintain the chain once you have a long row of success. Try it out and see if you can get a little bit more motivation. Chapter 7. Kaizen and changing it all at once. We're going to take a closer look at some of the different ways you might achieve your objectives by getting in better shape, managing your health, and perhaps even starting a romantic relationship. Furthermore, it's helpful to note that doing as many of these tasks as possible usually makes sense at this time. Changing everything at once. Although we did mention that you should have some focus on your goals, it's equally critical to acknowledge how interwoven everything is in your life and how difficult it is to address any one part of your lifestyle in isolation. Example. Let's use getting in shape as an illustration. You may be considering beginning a new training regimen and working out 4 times a week if your goal is to gain terrific shape and bulk up. That's fantastic, but it also won't work if that's all you have planned. Why? Because you probably feel worn out when you get home from work right now. That's most likely the cause of your current lack of physical fitness. You most certainly have a lot on your plate, are under pressure to get things done, and are stressed out at work. Now you intend to top that off with an additional 4 hours of vigorous exercise. Not only that, but you'll probably need to take a shower in addition to having to travel to and from the gym. It simply won't work, and by week 2, you'll probably give up. Effective tactics. Countless individuals face this fate. Just exercising correctly and training in a method that maximizes your gains with the least amount of effort is one way to address this. It's beneficial to tailor your workout to fit your schedule. For example, if you train in the morning, you might just require 1 shower. But a more effective tactic would merely alter everything. Changing everything means that you're going to look at how you can get more time in your evenings. This may mean finding a better way to commute, working from home some days, discussing this with your boss, changing jobs, quitting one of your after-work activities, going to bed a little later, and lying in a little longer, or saying no to friends occasionally. In other words, it's prioritizing again. It's making space in your life for this training you hope to do. Meanwhile, you also want to combat that tiredness. That might mean improving the quality of your sleep, new bed, reducing stress at work, perhaps by keeping your home tidier, and getting more vitamins and minerals in your diet. Additionally, you'll discover that setting up a room at home for exercise has an impact, necessitating some home renovation work. That way, you can see that you're altering everything instead of just one thing. The law of attraction. This isn't limited to physical health and exercise. It makes sense to make all the changes necessary if you want to succeed in your profession. Maintaining your physical fitness will benefit your career by boosting your self-esteem and physical presence. Your career will benefit from improved attire. Certainly, possessing greater energy will help you. You can think about the law of attraction here. According to this, your life will change to reflect your actions, and that like attracts like. Be self-assured, present yourself well, and people will begin to take you more seriously. As a result, you begin to receive increased responsibilities, and your career advances. Again, to encourage growth everywhere, it pays to make adjustments in all aspects of your life. Kaizen. If you're the cynical kind, you may be wondering at this point exactly how you're meant to change everything. It's not quite that simple. Well, using the Kaizen technique is one way to address this. Kaizen is essentially the idea of making several tiny adjustments in your life that eventually add up to significant improvements, similar to how many small chops are needed to bring down a large oak tree, or how many modest steps are needed to cover 100 miles on foot. In this case, however, we're discussing a series of minor adjustments to your way of life and existing circumstances with the goal of accomplishing major goals in all areas. For example, one excellent small change you can make that will have a big impact is just making your bed in the morning. Why? Because coming home to a clean bed makes you feel better and more organized, which in turn makes you feel more productive. It's also a fantastic self-discipline exercise, and if you can complete this one task, you'll find that sticking to your other objectives is a lot easier. Additional examples. Going to bed 10 minutes earlier or giving up coffee to save more money are also examples of Kaizen. What other tiny adjustments may you make? A few 10 minutes can add up to over an hour of more sleep per week. Consider purchasing a robotic vacuum cleaner. Undoubtedly a minor thing, but when it means your house is dust-free and you never have to waste time cleaning, it makes a significant difference. Chapter 8. What is lifestyle design? Although we touched on it briefly in a previous chapter, lifestyle design merits a little more discussion. In summary, selecting a career that will allow you to live the lifestyle you desire is known as lifestyle design. This entails letting go of the notion that your lifestyle must follow your work. Example. You can work as a trash collector if your primary goal in life is to spend more time with your family and your wants are not too great. By doing this, you'll work fewer hours and be home when your children arrive home from school. The work isn't too stressful as long as you don't take it home with you, and even if it might not be fulfilling, you can find fulfillment in other endeavors, such as your amazing novel, painting, or rock band project. Prioritizing travel. If traveling is your first priority, you might want to think about working online, which would enable you to make money from any location in the world. If not, there are many professions available that will allow you to travel. Alternatively, simply search for a position offering competitive pay, ample vacation time, and a flexible work schedule. The digital nomad. The lifestyle of the digital nomad may be the ultimate manifestation of this. This person travels frequently and works remotely. They travel with a laptop, look for inexpensive lodging, and work mostly from hip bars or while lounging on the beach. Naturally, a digital nomad will give up many creature pleasures. This is not a lifestyle that is suitable for everyone, but this is a dream lifestyle for the right person, and it simply goes to show what's possible. Never be afraid to stand out. There are more applications for lifestyle design than web work. It simply means choosing the appropriate career based on your assessment of how it would impact your daily living. Indeed, this could entail working a manual job that allows you to move around and breathe clean air. Alternatively, it could mean taking up a job that allows you to work better hours, like waste collecting. However, individuals find this problematic because it's not how they're used to. All too frequently, we believe that leading a particular lifestyle is necessary to normalize or live up to expectations placed on us. Even though you would be happier picking up trash, you might decide to pursue a career in medicine to feel successful or to please your family. Happiness is the priority. As you may expect, this is a mistake. The most important thing should be your happiness. In the same way, you shouldn't be scared to stand out a little. It's acceptable if you wish to mix your occupations in a unique approach that would seem odd to outsiders. It's okay to be the first. Once more, what counts most is that you're pleased. Chapter 9. An Introduction to CBT. Finally, we'll touch once again on CBT. Cognitive behavioral therapy is referred to as CBT. This is simply a framework that you may use to try to enhance your cognitive processes, which will enhance various beliefs and behaviors. This attempts to implement cognitive restructuring by having you practice, test, and evaluate your own ideas. Additionally, mindfulness, which has many uses, is taught in CBT. However, increasing your sense of thankfulness for what you already have is one particularly intriguing application of mindfulness. This is crucial, because nothing you do will get you any closer to being happy and fulfilled if you aren't able to appreciate what you already have and what you have accomplished. Thus, make sure you take the time to reflect on your accomplishments and the things you have in life to be thankful for. Small activities like making a gratitude list of 3 items every morning can be quite beneficial. According to some people, try it and never forget that there are probably individuals who would love to be in your position in life, no matter where you are at now. The CBT process. As previously indicated, CBT is an excellent technique for conquering anxieties and for generally altering your perspective on life. Although CBT has numerous facets, most people may start by following a basic approach to start accomplishing more and feel more content with their achievements. Step 1. Being mindful. The first step in the process is to be aware of your thoughts as they are happening and to regularly reflect on them. Which ideas are harmful and can prevent you from moving forward? Step 2. Examining your thoughts. Similar to how we address the process of creating fear, this is the act of questioning your ideas and beliefs. Does your limiting belief have a valid reason? Step 3. Examining hypotheses. It would be far better to just test your hypothesis. Do you think speaking in front of that crowd is impossible? Feel as though asking that woman or man out will make them laugh at you. Then give it a shot. You'll discover that reality is seldom as horrible as you had imagined it to be. Step 4. Confirmations. Unbelievably, with careful selection, affirmations and mantras can be effective. Words that challenge your negative thoughts should be repeated until they finally take the place of those negative beliefs. In conclusion, keep moving forward. And there you have it. Yes, you may not be a wealthy woman living in a home with a stunning wife or spouse just yet. Even so, if that's the life you want, you should be a lot closer to living it. The secret is to find other ways to accomplish your goals instead of viewing everything as black or white. This entails figuring out what it is that you truly desire from life and developing an effective plan to assist you in getting there. It also implies that you look at making as many adjustments as you can today to get to where you want to be rather than waiting till you win the lottery or retire. Naturally, life won't give you everything you want right now, but you'll be astonished at what you can achieve if you put in the necessary effort. Additionally, you'll experience the fulfilling sense of accomplishment that comes with working toward a goal. A sense of forward motion is frequently what the majority of us desire most of all. It's not just a fantasy. If you're aiming to be a rock star, the healthiest person you've ever been, or the ideal husband or wife, it's time to start moving forward. Having a goal and a trajectory makes life so much more enjoyable. Continue onward. Don't stop. Thanks for listening, and please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons, and also click the small bell icon to receive a notification every time a new free audiobook has arrived. Thanks again.